Hey, my name is Ryan, and today I'm doing the in-depth review of Craft & Glory's Monkey Boot. In this video, we'll look at the components of the boot, we'll see how it's constructed, and we'll see the quality of the leather. We'll then jump online to see other boots that they make, and then I'll have a verdict at the end of the video to see if this really is a good value for your money. And if you want to know more about how this boot breaks in, I will be doing a 1-month break-in update on this boot, so subscribe if that's something you're interested in. So thank you so much for clicking on the video. Please enjoy. Before we jump into the in-depth look at this boot, I did want to mention that Craft & Glory did send me these boots for free. I reached out to them and I asked if they'd be willing to do that with a pair of their boots, and they said yeah, and they let me pick which ones I wanted. So I picked these off their website and they sent them to me. Now, I have no affiliation with the brand and they're not controlling my review of this at all. So there will be some negative aspects I bring out about this boot. But I just wanted to talk about that because one thing that I have established earlier with the LewisJet brand was I will take a product for free, but one thing I'm not going to do if I review a boot is sign up for any affiliate links. Craft & Glory offers affiliate links, but I'm not signing up for them. And that's just because I know my personality a little bit too much. If I sign up for an affiliate link of a boot like this, I benefit if you guys buy it. So I don't know how I would be able to do an unbiased review. So this way, I did get the boots for free. That's really nice of Craft & Glory, especially to some no-name YouTuber like me. I do appreciate that, but I have no connection to the company. If they sell a ton of these boots, great, but it doesn't help me at all. So I'm gonna tell you how I really feel about them. So I just wanted to clear the air with that, and I'm gonna give you as honest of a review as I possibly can. So now let's turn the camera around and do a deep dive on these boots. Normally when I look at a boot in-depthly and change the camera angle to this, I'll start from the sole and kind of work my way up. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to start off by actually opening up the window and showing you what this saddle tan buffalo leather looks like in the light, because it is a really gorgeous leather. I wanted you to see that before, because even with I bought more lights and stuff to do filming, it just doesn't give you the true tone that a nice sunny day gives you. But look at the full grain leather. It really is a pretty leather, and that is one of the main pros I feel about this boot. It gives you like this kind of like a kudu vibe, and that's really cool. It's just more unique than the standard leathers that you get in a more affordable boot. I mean, look how pretty that is. It's got really nice pull up too, so you can see there. It is a little bit on the thinner side. The tongue is the same leather, but it's not lined, and you can see it's a little bit thinner, but I mean, it's completely adequate. So what I'll do is I'm going to close the blinds now, use the artificial light, and we're going to go over the boot step by step. You can see it does change the look of it, kind of dulls the leather a little bit, but I just wanted you to see that. So the first thing we'll talk about is the outsole. So it's this lugged outsole. I've heard that these outsoles wear pretty quickly. Whatever rubber compound that they're using for their proprietary outsoles are wearing fairly quickly. So that is going to be something to really see on my update video in a month. What I'll be doing is I'll be taking this on walks on a concrete pathway. So I'm not going to be babying these boots at all. I really want to see what happens to them, you know, especially on the heel strike. What's going to happen to these? They feel nice. They feel fine right now, but we're really going to have to see in a month or so. And it's nice they've screwed them in. I don't know if that's just for aesthetics, but you know, that's what they did. And I'm sorry, you're going to be hearing gunshots. No, I live in an okay neighborhood. It's actually a gun range, and it's just a nice end of summer day. And so there's a couple guys at the gun range. It's about a mile away, but yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it sometimes. But okay, sorry. Then you go to that leather stacked heel. So that is a pretty legit leather stacked heel. So it's not like the nicest leather. And what I mean by that is I get my Crockett and Jones shoes, which I mean, they're $800 shoes. So I'm not trying to compare this, but like, you know, the slabs are very even. This one, you know, you can tell that the veg tan leather that they got it varies in thickness, but that's okay. I mean, it's great to have a heel stack like this. I think it's awesome. I don't mean to complain about it. Now, going up from there, something unique with this boot that I've noticed, and we'll check that out later on the website, is that this boot actually does have a nice veg tan midsole. So not a lot of their boots have that midsole, but it absolutely has this full veg tan midsole. So that is a really great value aspect of this boot. There's not a lot of boots you'll get a veg tan heel stack, veg tan midsole, and a veg tan insole. So that's something to keep in mind. For that $235 price range, you're not going to see that a lot. So you have a full veg tan welt. And what is amazing about Craft and Glory, and I believe we will get into it a little bit more, is the handwork that goes into it. That's where you're really going to see the value of this boot. Yeah, the welt stitching, it's not super tight. It doesn't look like a really tight, clean machine. I mean, it's clean, but you can tell that it's a hand-stitched shoe. So this has a lot of handwork going into it. And of course, these are made in India. So I'm sure that, the labor's less expensive. So they can afford to charge a lower price for a boot that has a ton of handwork. If this boot with this handwork were made in the United States, it'd be at least $500. That's just something to think about when going over the boot. Now, you might have noticed I've got yellow laces in these boots, and that's because you guys voted and yellow won. So yellow won by a landslide, so I appreciate everyone who voted. Let's dive into the boot, because this is where it starts to get interesting. So the design of the boot, a typical monkey boot, it looks awesome, looks great, I love it. No complaints, the last fits well. You can see more about the sizing in my unboxing video, but the design is really nice. With that leather, I think it's really pretty. And with the thick veg tan welt and midsole, it does give it a beefy look, especially with those lugs. So I do really like the design of the boot, and that's gonna get some people right there. Now, here's my first big flaw. And actually, I'm gonna take these laces out. We'll do a jump cut. All right, just like that, the laces are out. So this is one thing. And I will note, I don't have a ton of experience with monkey boots. I just don't. I like the look of them. I have another pair of Allen Edmonds, and they're this lace-to-toe style, and I don't even really know what the difference is between monkey boot or lace-to-toe, so what a pro I am. And it's like this in my Allen Edmond boots, so it might just be something they do, but the lack of a gusseted tongue, and then just where this stitch is, or not the stitch, but where the gusset is, it's just, stuff can come right in. So I got these to use for hiking, to do some like fall, maybe a little bit of snow and early, spring hiking in. So we're gonna see how that works. Now I'm not doing like crazy hikings. It's not like I'm gonna be going through a ton, but definitely with rain, water's gonna get in there fairly quickly. So that's one negative. That might be the best way to build it. I don't know, I don't have experience with monkey boots. So I do like that they have the slits in the tongue to help it keep centered. So you put your laces through that. Now let's just kind of dive into the shoes. So when I got these, I was a little bit shocked, because what I was expecting to see inside of the boot was like a thin sock liner insole that had memory foam, or not memory foam, but like pour-on foam. And what I got instead was this, which is a really nice veg tan insole. So it looks really good, and it's got the Craft and Glory name on there, and it's just this really nice, pretty rigid veg tan insole. So I was kind of stoked about that, because with Craft and Glory, the base of their boot is built on a nice veg tan lasting board or insole, and you can see it there. It's a really nice piece of leather, and if you're into heritage quality footwear, that is kind of, I don't want to say the gold standard, because other boots like Thursday boots, they have fiberboard insoles, but that's like, it's nice to break in a nice veg tan insole, because once it breaks into your feet, it's like no other type of shoe you'll ever have. And that's why, one of the reasons why I think heritage style boots are so popular. This veg tan insole is normally what you would stand on. So for instance, on a pair of Iron Rangers, you would just have this insole, wouldn't have screws going through it. And then they, offer this. And this is what I kind of thought would be nice, is to help hone in the size. But this is my main gripe, and again, it might be a lack of knowledge, but in my unboxing video, you notice the squeak that the boot had. So the squeak was because of this, because of how rigid this veg tan insole is on this veg tan insole, or I guess lasting board at this point. I'm not quite sure what to call that, veg tan sock liner. It squeaked because it's not glued. So if this was glued in, I don't think it would squeak, but because it's not, it's just sitting on top, that little bit of friction causes it to squeak. So this is where I need your guys' help, and comment down below. How do I get rid of this? Does it just go away when I break this in? Because right now this isn't broken in at all. I've barely worn it. And I imagine that this, as it breaks into my footprint here and then starts to form on the the main insole that it's going to go away, but I'm not sure. I know guys sell insoles, veg tan insoles like this. Do they squeak when you first get them? Do you have to break them in? I'm just not sure. Do I need to go to a cobbler and get this glued in? Will that do it? Again, I don't really know, but it's a big negative, of course, for the boot to have it squeak, and so it might not even be a negative if it goes away quickly, but I'm not gonna really know, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rock this boot with just this insole. Now, I couldn't feel the nails or the screws in the heel. They look like they'd be pretty intense, but I didn't feel them. So I'm gonna rock it, because with the insole out, with that added insole out, I can wear a thick wool sock. And so I am gonna be wanting to use these in the fall and in the winter. So I want it to break in with a little bit more room in the boot with a wool sock. If I'm using just like my regular, like normal socks, this would be the perfect fit. And so maybe I'll have to break this in or glue it in later. But again, comment down below if you know what will get rid of that squeak. Is it just a normal thing that I have to wear through? That's my main gripe about the boot, but it's really not even a gripe for me, like I just explained. Then you go inside. The leather liner is really nice. Just a nice smooth liner. You can see what the actual leather looks like on the rough out version. You have the tag. The tag's cool. I mean, Craft and Glory, the whole branding aspect of the company is pretty cool and pretty unique, so I like that. It's not a huge thing for guys who are into heritage boots, but you know, it's all part of what you're paying for when you buy the boot. You have this nice rough out heel pad or heel counter-ish. I don't know what the heel counter is, and in there cut in half, it's unlabeled, so I'm guessing it's elastic. If it was a leather heel counter, I'm sure they would say that, but again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it's probably just a elastic toe puff, which is fine for most boots, especially at this price range, but they do that nice rough out that helps lock in the heel a little bit better so you don't have as much heel slip. And the hardware. So the hardware is good. You know, it's not like great, fantastic hardware. This reminds me of like Thursdays or Red Wing. It's a good hardware. This is better than like my Alden Indies for sure, but you know, just not a lot to say about the hardware. It doesn't blow my mind. It doesn't disappoint me. And then we have the pull tab. So I don't normally like a pull tab on a boot. It all depends on how it catches my pant. I can't stand when the pant gets caught here, but it's just how it is sometimes. And I mean, if you wanted to, you could just cut that off. It wouldn't be a big deal. But one thing I will say is it does fit. So, you know, you can get your hands in it and it works well. That's that. So that's my take on the boot. But now let's look at the website so we can see a little bit more about the company. I know this is super janky and you can see me in the back there, but this is just a way that I can go through the website real quick and just get my voiceover on it, because I like the voiceover when it's more in the moment and I'm going through. So on Craft and Glory's website, you can see that they make a lot more than just boots. They've got what look like really nice bags, bags for men, wallets, it's bags for women, really cool stuff. So that's neat. But we're going to focus on their boots, because their boots are probably why you're here, being that this is a boot video. So one thing, if you notice about a lot of their boots, and I think this one is their best seller, I believe, their Ranger boot. Can I get rid of that glare a little bit? That took me way too long, how to figure out how to get rid of that glare. Okay, their Ranger boot, you can tell, doesn't have that midsole. So I've seen another review online, really good review of the Ranger boot, or it might be their plain toe boot. Oh man, there's my reflection again. Oh, sorry about this, guys. But you can see it doesn't have a midsole. So that's one thing to note. When you're looking for their boot, it seems like all the info that they have on their boots, it says they don't have a midsole in their description and everything, but a couple boots do have a midsole, like those Explorer boots. So if you go over here, you can see the boots I bought, and they clearly have that midsole. So just something to keep in mind, that it doesn't even say about the description. These are the exact boots that I got from Craft and Glory. It says nothing about the midsole. You have the description here, a lot of good stuff, but it tells you about the wax buffalo leather upper, the thick leather lining, veg tan insole, the veg tan handmade welt, nothing about that midsole. And then you have a steel shank, all that good stuff, good laces. It's good. It's all good, but I just wanted you to see that you'll actually have to look at each boot to tell if it has that midsole. You know, for what is essentially $235 over $222, to me, that price difference is well worth the midsole. Could this boot be made with the midsole? I'm not sure. I would recommend it be made with the midsole. There are other monkey boots they all have midsoles. I think that is a great thing to have in a $230 boot, but that is not in all their boots. So please make sure you check that out before you buy your boots, especially if you really want a midsole. Really a good company doing a lot of good things. I like the fact that they use this buffalo leather. The buffalo leather is just a more unique leather, especially when you think about that price range. If you're going to be looking at a lot of, just regular pulled up leather, which is great, but having that buffalo, it's more like a kudu or something. It just has way more character, in my opinion, than just a standard leather. So I think that's actually a unique thing that's kind of cool about the brand that adds value to it, being that you're getting that buffalo leather that's tanned in India. Now what I'll do is I'll turn the camera back around and we'll do my final verdict on the boot. So what is my verdict on the boot? For $235, I think it's a great boot. And I know I say that about everything, but you get so much value for money with this boot. When you take component by component with the veg hand insole, midsole, heel stack, I know there are boots that have better components for a cheaper price, but with the leather, the cool buffalo kudu-like leather almost that you get, the design, and let's talk about the handwork that's done in this boot. Now, for some, that's not gonna matter a lot to people. For me, it does matter. I think you should pay more for a boot that has a lot more handwork, and this boot really does. It's not the crazy tight stitches that you would get with a Viberg. That's stitched by hand, and they do a fantastic job at it. And you can see that it's not machine stitched. There's imperfections, and I love that. I know I'm kind of just a guy that likes a lot of things. I can justify a lot of things, but I really do think it's a great boot. I think the design of it is really nice. I think their other boots are going to be, not as much of a great value prospect when you take away that midsole and you only take away, $10 or $15. I still think they probably are good quality boots for the price. I'm really gonna have to see about that sole. Again, I have no idea how this sole's gonna wear. I'll get a better idea in a month. From what I see right now, great boot, great value, great company, great branding, great style, great clicking, great aesthetics, just really a lot to like about this boot, a lot to like about Craft and Glory. I think you wouldn't be disappointed if you got it. And let me know if you have any questions down below about this boot or any of the other boots that I've reviewed. I do have a couple more coming on the best value boot series, so please like and subscribe if you're into that, and we will see you on the next one.